I got tuckered out from Sony.
It's too long.
2 hours.
Too long.
2 hours, constantly giving you new games, new content.
It's not a bad thing. It's long.
And not to mention that some of the presenters were like really out of breath, which kind of mimicked what we were feeling.
Okay. Anyways, here's our.
Okay. Here. First things first, they start off by actually having a big discussion about the PlayStation Network issues that happened because they had some they were hacked multiple times.
It was the elephant in the room, and it had to be mentioned.
They acknowledged it really well too. They're like, "Yeah, let's talk about it for about 5 minutes before we actually get into the actual show." I think that was a great thing that they did then, not later.
And then they, of course, got to the content.
Yep. Major game that they showed off first was Uncharted 3. Drake's Deception.
Great way to start off the show floor. Great game, great graphics, great story. Drake can never catch a break. He's always breaking things up.
Yep, it's going to be a good game. Why bother showing too much more than that? Resistance 3 looked odd coming out of it because you'd think it'd be better, but then after seeing Uncharted 3, you're like nothing can compare to that.
It looks like a first-person shooter. They showed off some new device that actually makes shields around the enemies. So you got to destroy them first. There's the story about this. It's the final front against the aliens. Again, this is the third in the series. So again, it's going to be all that epic, just like Modern Warfare 3. It's always going to be about the end of days kind of thing.
And then we had 2 collections that were announced for HD. There's the God of War Origins collection, which was PSP games remade for the 2 PSP games for the
PSP Masters.
Yeah, PSP Master Series. They just decided not to call it that, I guess, in America. Then they had Eco and Shadow of the Colossus collections. But no sign of Last Guardian, which implies it's a 2012 game by far.
The big thing about these collections is that they're not only the HD, but they're also coming in 3D.
Yep, full 3D. Speaking of 3D, they announced a 3D monitor that's 24 inches in size.
So it's a small thing.
It's a small thing, and it has special glasses that can see in one to the other, which means that if you see like this and this, and 20 like this, one person sees this, the other person sees this, you can see two screens at once.
Single screen without multiplayer without split screen.
That's pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, but it's expensive.
Though the $500 price point is pretty high.
Yeah. And then they brought up, they started to do new move games, and the third party game they showed off was NBA 2K12 with Kobe, and that was awkward as heck.
Pretty much it's a point-and-click basketball game, and that doesn't seem to work for me.
Yeah, it didn't work for him either, apparently. Then we had, funny thing you lost, didn't you? No, something else. Then they had Medieval Moves, Deadman's Quest. New game.
It's got one motions with a sword swiping and arrow shooting. It looks like a good implementation. The problem is that we're worried against on rails completely. The good thing is it has a nice breakup between fighting and puzzle elements and interaction with the environments. I really like to see that evolve more because if a game is just a straight on rail shooter, you kind of disappoint.
Oh, and second no sorcery. Probably not coming out till next year then. Then we had some more, go back to the first party games that weren't move-oriented. Infamous 2, that's already out.
They showcased it, obviously just a trailer, just blurred it out, and then moved on. They didn't need to tell anything else about
Starhawk, that was shown off. It was announced a few weeks ago, too.
Yeah, it's a shame. They could have just waited until this E3. It would have been a big announcement. The ability to create buildings and everything, but I think they really just wanted to showcase that before E3 because they had other announcements.
Yeah, we got some here. Sly Cooper, Thieves of Time, which comes out next year.
Yep, this is the 4th game on the series. Basically, it's not made by Sucker Punch. It's made by the team that compiled the first 3 games on the HD collection. They said they didn't want the series to end, so they decided to make a new one. Basically, time's messed up, and they're going to fix it.
Yep, and on top of that, while there was no footage shown at the conference, there was a demo playable at the show floor. Or was it actually shown?
And it's cel-shaded, don't worry, it's not realistic.
Don't expect it to be realistic. I can't imagine that. Hey, did you know Kami? Keep talking about it. And then we go to the major third-party exclusives. This is these are all exclusive content for the PlayStation 3. We're not talking about handhelds at all here. Dust 514 was an FPS MMO. Takes place in the future, and it's going to have cross-play between the PC and PS3 versions coming out summer 2012. Looks kind of generic, but that's an MMO.
Most shooters do nowadays.
Bioshock Infinite, which is many gamers' game of the year already and hasn't even come out yet. It's going to have move compatibility, which is interesting because Ken Levine said that he would rather die than have.
It actually came out on stage and kind of backpedaled a lot. We're not sure if he got paid off with a little money hat on, or if he just actually really decided to get his hands on with it and really enjoyed it. Well, but it sounded more like he was really embarrassed to say that he was putting move on it.
Well, he also did pull out the PlayStation Vita, which I just tell the name is. That's the name of the NGP, by the way.
No, listen!
Erase that sentence from your mind. He pulled out an NGP and said that he's making a game for using the Bioshock series. Then they had Saints Row the Third is going to have an exclusive mode, and then they have Star Trek, an exclusive PlayStation Network game.
That game was so early, pretty much, they say it's like in pre-alpha.
Yeah, so
it's not even
that game has got a ways
maybe.
to go. And SSX that comes out later this year will have an exclusive level Mount Fiji, and I absolutely loathe anybody who says that exclusive levels is good. Exclusive levels are not good because it means you can't play them online against other people, and on top of that, it makes people who can't afford to get the other systems really annoyed in the process.
Yeah.
I imagine it'll be DLC like the Joker. I think Joker was DLC for the 360 version later on.
Either way?
Yeah, either way. It's just exclusive once more. Need for Speed The Run will have exclusive cars, but there's so many cars it's not going to be a problem, I guess.
Yeah, that's sports cars.
Battlefield 3 will have Battlefield 1943 already in a bundle. Oh, by the way, there's going to be a Bioshock bundle in Bioshock Infinite as well. But the Battlefield bundle, that game's already been out for so long. I guess most people have already played it, so I guess they can just throw it out there for free. And that's pretty much for the third-party exclusives.
And now we're moving on to the mobiles.
First things first, PlayStation Suite was discussed.
Pretty much, PlayStation games can be now downloaded on certain phones.
Yep.
The biggest thing is that the
Xperia Play.
Xperia Play actually has a controller built in.
Yep, and has Minecraft exclusive to it for a while.
Yep, and so basically it'll have PlayStation games onto it. So get ready to play Parappa the Rapper.
Yep. And then we go to the actual main thing of the show.
The big thing was the new handheld announced, the NGP, as I mentioned earlier,
the PlayStation
is the Vita.
PSV, well, let's get down to it. It's got a multi-touch screen. It's got a rear trackpad, which it looks like which is about the same size as the screen. It's got cameras, both front and back. It's got 2 analog sticks, not pads.
Yeah, actual
It's got motion
analog
control, and there's also 2 modes, one with 3G and one with just Wi-Fi. The 3G network, however, will be held by AT&T.
You should have heard the response
That's the only
to that.
thing of the 3 conferences. That's the only one that got anything that resulted in boos. Okay, that's pretty bad.
It was pretty upsetting.
And then we had, it has the party system, which essentially is a message board between friends,
between
games, which allows you to actually say, hey, you want to play this game? Go for it, and you get sucked in.
And hopefully they'll integrate it so people actually look at it.
And then there's Nier, which is kind of like Street Pass, but it's GPS-based rather than
so you're in that vicinity, you get a message.
Or maybe if you leave like a marking, like, I'm here, it'll save that, and like, hey, you were near this guy's path, you get the content anyways. That sort of thing.
I don't know.
It's kind of weird. I didn't really look too deep into it, but that's what it's like. Then the actual games. Uncharted Golden Abyss, many people's game of the year for the handhelds.
It looks like Uncharted. You can't get much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, use the touchscreen, use all the interface. I'm not going to try pushing for the touchscreen.
The problem I'm having with it is that it looks like because it has to use the touchscreen slide move, everything he can grab on has to be highlighted. Yeah. So you can't really have a sense of exploration in the game. It's kind of forced on you.
And when you're actually fighting the guys, you have to touch them. It doesn't feel that right because you actually have to touch him, and then he kind of like doesn't get an action to it. Kind of like point-click beat 'em up.
And also, by the way, one thing of PS Vita, I really hope they find a way to cover up the pad or something, because a lot of people hold their PSPs like this, not like this, and that might be a problem with your big hands.
Yeah, and also people like holding it like this. It's kind of weird. I'm like, I can't hold that. But we haven't put our hands on it, so we wouldn't know. Ruin is a Diablo-like game, brand new announced for it. There's saves between the PS3 and the...
And for my opinion, this is my least interested game
of the show.
It just looks like an overhead fighter.
Yeah,
I've seen this so many
times. There's really nothing that stands out. They say that if you're doing it against someone else who's the villain, the place gets stronger as time progresses. So it becomes essentially, it continues to ramp up as you gain levels. I don't know what they're really trying to get at. They didn't make a good description if the guy was out of breath anyways. ModNation Racers, once again, coming to PlayStation.
Now, this had a cool feature for both pads, because you could push out mountains on this way or push down into valleys this way. So it actually utilized both touchscreens effectively, and also drawing out your maps and everything. It definitely looks like they're taking ModNation Racer and bringing it out there.
They need to work on the frame rate a little bit.
Well, that's the issue with most of the games.
Wipeout 2048 will have cross-play between the PlayStation 3 and the PS Vita version, which tells me that that's going to happen to a lot of games. A lot of games that are coming out for PlayStation Vita might also appear in PlayStation 3, or they might just have cross-content.
I'm concerned that we're going to see people having to double dip a lot to use that feature, so that's what I'm concerned about.
In fact, even Kojima Productions announced that a lot of their older future products will have PlayStation Vita versions, which tells me that they just really want you to buy both versions, which is stupid to me, by the way. Double dipping is not that great for me, especially when they're that close. Then we have Little Big Planet, PlayStation Vita.
It looks like Little Big Planet, except now it's got touchscreen minigames, which means you can have a lot more fun with actually creating your own little applications.
Yep. And then we have Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Oh, that was a new one.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, I said we're gonna have a big third-party game, and we got it, but it wasn't any of the games I guessed. It's
whereas the 3DS got Street Fighter 4. Now the NGP or the PlayStation Vita is getting the new
Street Fighter Cross Tekken,
and that's an amazing
has an exclusive character, Cole from Infamous, which is probably why they mentioned him in the beginning.
Which is good. Good.
Oh, and to end it off, the big price point that I thought they were actually delaying because it was expensive. $250 for the Wi-Fi version, $300 for the 3G.
Very significantly much lower than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be $300 just flat out, but
I believe the reason why they made it that low was they want to eat the cost because they saw the 3DS's poor reception without any software and said we have to sell it that low in order for it to even be accepted by the public.
So, and this is taking out a loss, but obviously
major
loss.
But
this is going to be. We haven't seen anything about subscription things with AT&T with the 3G.
Nor have we seen an actual true release date. They say at the end of the year, but I think I've heard that it's the end of the fiscal year. If that system does not come out this year, they're going to lose a lot of focus because at that point Nintendo will have already released all of their major third-party, 3DS games, and that would probably have fought against them. But they did a very good job pushing the PlayStation Vita with all the stuff they have here. The exclusive for the PlayStation 3 helps to support whatever fan base is still on the system exclusively.
And they fixed the PSN, that and Homecoming thing was nice way to get people back on online, and apparently it's up to record high.
Yeah, the only thing I'm concerned about, is, did they really have any... I mean, they have the usual PlayStation 3 exclusives, but nothing that screams this is going to really do well.
Uncharted 3?
Uncharted 3 and Resistance 3.
Sly Cooper? Well, that's next year.
That's next year. But those... there's also Twisted Metal and stuff that weren't mentioned at the show.
That was surprising, because they made it a huge thing last year.
Yeah, and this time not so much. I think they've lowered interest in it. But either way...
And for my opinion on the whole conference, stop with the 3D trailers and stuff.
Yeah, I don't need to see images of the person watching in full 3D. I know it's in 3D, you said it. But I think it's one of the probably the best of the three. But we're gonna get to Nintendo next.
Yeah, it was very strong, very kind of. Just shrink it down.
Yeah,
too much.
There's too much to talk about. People are gonna end up getting it diluted. I mean, what was the third-party games? Yeah, it's hard to tell. Do you know NBA 2K12? Maybe you want to forget about that because Kobe was kind of screwing up.
Anyways, that's our look at Sony, and move on out.